Chris Watts, his letters from jail.
Is he admitted that he actually killed his daughters not once, but twice.
Inmate 674796, more commonly known as Chris Watts, now spends his days within the walls of Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. He lives in a state of regret and fear, his only comfort coming from a silent God to whom he endlessly begs for forgiveness. A forgiveness that never seems to come. Each night, as he lies down to sleep, he dreads the next day, haunted by the memory of his last day as a free man. Welcome to Timeless Mysteries. Today, our journey will leave you questioning the limits of justice as we explore the life of a man confined for life. Is it even enough justice for the crimes he committed? You don't want to miss out on this epic discussion. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I want to hear your thoughts. Chris Watts was a man living a double life, caught between the comfort of his family and the thrill of a forbidden relationship. That morning, Shanann was still away on a business trip, and Chris was home with their two daughters, Bella and Celeste. The day seemed ordinary, filled with the routine of caring for the children.
Daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong. He helped me snuggle too. He reads me books. He ties my shoes. If you're a hero, blue and blue, my daddy, I love you.
However, something felt off. Maybe Chris experienced a heightened sense of clarity, or the air smelled different that day. A text alert caused him to smile inwardly, though his smile did not show on his face. He was trying to pretend everything was normal.
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here. And about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nichole showed up at the door. I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say, but she never got back to me, but she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well.
But it was not normal. He received a text from Nicole Kessinger, triggering a light, pleasing, tingling feeling in the pit of his stomach. The excitement and mystery found in his affair with this woman had become his obsession, and pretending everything was normal was half of the thrill. A text from Shanann turned his inward smile into an outward frown. The brightness of the day dimmed noticeably. He ignored the text. Shanann, unaware of the storm brewing at home, was preparing to return later that night, thinking of ways she could open a dialogue with Chris and save their marriage. Chris ignored more texts from his wife. The weight of his secrets bore down on him, and the once comforting routines of family life now felt suffocating. He wondered if she had discovered his secret. A new storm began to brew in his mind. In an instant, a profound and intense anxiety shrouded him. She seemed excited to return home. Could she forgive him? Was it possible they could find their way back to each other? A text from Nichole ended this line of thought. A few hours before his wife arrived home that night, Chris and his mistress spent 111 minutes talking. What was said is still unknown. Many believe that this call was some kind of tipping point in Chris. His mind somehow broke. And just like that, he was a killer. The rage within him, a stark contrast to the quiet, calm appearance he maintained outwardly. When he looked in the mirror, he probably didn't see a killer. He may not have been able to understand his own thoughts as he glared into an empty mirror, but he must have felt the internal change. When Shanann arrived home that night, the house was quiet. Bella and Celeste were already asleep in their beds, their innocent dreams undisturbed by the darkness looming. Chris greeted Shanann with a cold indifference, despite the warmth she had offered. They exchanged a few words, but the tension was palpable. Disappointed, yet she felt no fear as she climbed into bed. Chris straddled his wife. She probably thought he wanted to be intimate. He stayed there for a long time, staring at her, her mouth moving, but her words silent. It's not clear what they discussed, or if there was a discussion at all before. In his broken state, began to clench his hands and strangled his wife to death in their bed. Perhaps it was an instant reaction, and he remained there after she was dead, looking over her for an unknown amount of time. His daughter Bella woke up. Did she see what happened? "Is Mommy okay?" she asked. He loaded them up in his truck and took them to the last place they'd ever see.
Christopher Watts has pleaded guilty to killing his pregnant wife Shanann and 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste, and their unborn son Nico.
He ended their lives too. Research on inmates serving life sentences reveals that they often experience profound and chronic feelings of guilt and remorse, frequently haunted by the memories of their crimes. This, combined with the psychological concept of moral injury, leads to deep inner conflict and self-condemnation. The isolation and monotony of prison life only exacerbate these intrusive thoughts. Causing vivid nightmares that disrupt sleep and contribute to a continuous cycle of torment.
When I got locked up, my twins were 8 months old. And that was the last time I saw them. I wrote them letters like every week for the first 20 years I was here. And by this time, now they're all adults.
Living with the relentless struggle to cope with the irreversible harm they have caused. A torment of his own making. Within the walls of Dodge Correctional Institution, Chris Watts faces a relentless punishment. Each night, as he lies on the thin, unforgiving mattress loosely laying on a hard frame, the haunting threats of unimaginable pain echo throughout the prison walls in crystal clear clarity. That is nothing compared with the memory of the night he took his family's lives, replaying in his mind like a horror film on an endless loop. There is no escape, no reprieve from these scenes that haunt him. The faces of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste are etched into the back of his eyelids, attached to the sounds of their deaths. This torment is more than just guilt. It is a profound moral injury. As a father, Chris committed the ultimate betrayal, and his mind struggles to reconcile the man he was supposed to be with the monstrous actions he took.
With regard to count number 1, murder in the first degree as it relates to Shanann Watts, the court is going to sentence you, sir, to a life sentence in the Colorado Department of Corrections. With regard to count 2, as it relates to murder in the first degree with Bella, the court is going to sentence you to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections with no possibility of parole. The unlawful termination of pregnancy for the unborn child that has been named Nico, the court absolutely believes that the maximum sentence of 48 years would be appropriate to run consecutive to the other charges.
The constant reliving of that night is his mind's desperate attempt to grasp the magnitude of his crimes. Yet the more he revisits those moments, the deeper he sinks into despair. The walls of his cell may protect him from the violence of others, but they cannot shield him from the relentless assault of his own memories. There is no comfort, no redemption in this life. Chris Watts is trapped, not just by the bars of his cell, but by the weight of his own conscience. His existence is one of unrelenting discomfort, with no hope of absolution. In the end, his true punishment is not the life sentence handed down by the court, but the endless suffering imposed by his own mind. A fitting consequence for the horrors he unleashed. Can a man ever truly understand the depths of his own darkness? Is there a point where remorse and suffering become so intertwined that they consume the very essence of who we are? Can the human mind, once shattered, ever truly piece itself back together? Or is it doomed to remain fractured, lost in the labyrinth of its own making? Is there any redemption, or will there forever be an empty void created within his own soul? These lingering questions are mysteries that may never be fully understood. Thank you for joining me on Timeless Mysteries. Please like, subscribe, and share. As always, be kind, stay vigilant, and seek answers. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget that you can become a member today and help support my channel as it grows.